Hi, welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, thanks for watching. Well, you know, after months and months of politics, we're going to turn to policy, education, higher education. The Chancellor of the State System of Higher Education is here, and then Senator Jeff Piccola, Chairman of the Senate Education Committee, Education Policy. All you want to know, Pennsylvania politics and government in depth and in detail, and guess what? It all starts right now.
This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers, a fast-paced, unrehearsed weekly discussion with and about the leaders who shape your world. And now, here's your host, Terry Madonna.
Hi, welcome back to the program. As I said, months and months of politics, so let's set that aside. We're going to go to some of the things that really matter. How about education? It's 20% of the, it's more than that. It's 35% of the budget of the state. Sitting with me, joining me as often is the case, is the Chancellor of the State System of Higher Education, Dr. John C. Cavanaugh. Dr. Cavanaugh, welcome.
It's great to be back, Terry.
All right, Chancellor, look, let's get down to it. You've got a tough job here, my friend. Budget cutbacks, doesn't look like you're going to get much increases. You've got huge challenges. You lead this big system. How many students do you have now?
120,000.
How many professors?
Over 6,000.
How many employees? Over 10?
Yeah, easily, yeah.
Largest system in the state, right?
Right.
Tough to run. You do a great job. Look, give me a vision of what you see the next couple of years, and then we'll get into the details. Give us the big picture.
Sure. I think that the next couple of years are going to be interesting in many senses of the term. Obviously, the budget challenges are going to be there, and we're going to have to work very closely with the General Assembly and Governor-elect Corbett to make sure that we're all on the same page and we meet the educational needs of the citizens of the Commonwealth. Mm-hmm. But I think it also gives us an opportunity to really step back and reflect on what it is that we're doing, mm-hmm. and look for ways to be more efficient. We've been doing that for several years now. Right. Look for ways to focus our academic programs and to make sure that as new opportunities emerge, we look for them as well.
So what you're saying basically is challenges can also bring improvements, can bring new strategic developments, new directions. I think the word that you often use is transformation. Is that correct?
That's right.
So
that's
specifically, right. what tell our viewers and hey, potential students out there,
sure.
Like you can't have any more. You got them bursting at the seams now. Go ahead.
Sure. In October, we went to the Board of Governors and talked to them about 4 strategic directions that we think it's important for the system to take. The first and clearly most important is transforming the learning environment. And what we mean by that is really look at our curriculum to make sure that it's responsive to what's going on in the 21st century, that it's current and so on. Mm-hmm. But also to look at how students learn and look at the research on that and meet students where they are, understand that they are on social networks, understand that they use mobile devices, and make sure that we use those to deliver our educational programs. The second initiative is transforming the resources. We're very cognizant of the difficulties that face not only Pennsylvania but also all of higher education, even at the federal level.
Does that sort of do more with less? I mean, just to put it.
Well, it's do it differently.
Yeah, good point.
Because just doing more with less, you can nip here and nip there, but it's really not thinking strategically. And so what we want to do is to look at how can we do it differently, but do it better.
Right.
And use some of those devices that I just talked about as ways to do it differently and better. The third area is transforming the relationship that our campuses have with their local communities. In many of our locations, we're the biggest employer, and we're the economic engine of that region. So we want to make sure that we've got the best relationship possible, that we're reaching out, we're engaging with the local areas.
Let me stop you there and probe just for a minute. I mean, the higher education institutions and healthcare, you have all these professional programs with nursing and respiratory therapy. You know more about the programs than I do, but it seems like there's great linkages that can be made between the higher education entity and the healthcare facilities in the regions that you serve. For heck, I mean, they're going to get the skills of the people you train. And correct me, then the folks will stay in the communities.
That's right.
I mean, you also can assist in the brain drain, which is another aspect that we
That's
constantly
right.
talk. Go ahead.
Allied health is one of our fastest growing areas in terms of new programs and certainly student majors. And on the brain drain point, 90% of our students come from Pennsylvania, 80% plus stay in Pennsylvania after they graduate. So our graduates are really, if you want to get right down to it, the future of the Commonwealth. And that's what and that brings us to our fourth strategic initiative, which is transforming the relationship that the system has with the Commonwealth.
Right.
Because so many of our graduates stay put, we want to be able to work with the Commonwealth and talk about where is the economy of Pennsylvania going, where do the leaders of Pennsylvania want the economy to go, how can we be a good partner at the table in those discussions, and when the decisions are made, to make sure that our graduates are ready when those job opportunities show up.
All right, I'm chatting with the Chancellor of the State System of Higher Education, Dr. John C. Cavanaugh. We'll be back with this discussion. You know, state system, schools, pretty good, high quality. I want to talk about the cost. Actually, the cost, I know we complain about it, but it's still a pretty good deal. I'm going to let the Chancellor weigh in on that and more following these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, the statewide voice of business, and by the Pennsylvania Cyber Charter School, bringing educational innovation and freedom to the children of Pennsylvania. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by PAConstructionJobs.com. For more information about rewarding careers in the highway construction industry, visit PAConstructionJobs.com. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
Hi, welcome back to the program with Dr. Cavanaugh. He's the Chancellor of the state system. We're chatting about the educational and fiscal challenges that confront public higher education. In this case, it's the system. It's the public higher education system in our state. Chancellor, let's talk a little. You know, we were chatting a moment ago about the relationship between sort of what we used to call town gown and how important that is. What's your sort of vision for that? I mean, that's always seems to me something that's so important, that the colleges and the universities get engaged in their local communities. They have real assets, not just, you know, the in-service money or in lieu of tax money and the other services that you provide. But go ahead. What you're thinking about?
Sure. You know, one of the most important things when a company is deciding where to locate is what is there to enrich the lives of their employees. Having a university in the community is a huge asset for economic development folks, because when they go out and they talk up a community, they can talk up about all of the cultural activities that are going on the campus, the educational opportunities that are going on the campus. Our universities sit with many companies around the state and design specific programs just for them. So it's the whole enrichment experience, whether it's personal or professional, that a university brings to a community that's really helping us in that.
And you have workforce development stuff that's critical, that I think more and more, I think Governor-elect Corbett has talked about that on numerous occasions during his speeches, ways to do that linkage.
That's right. We had over 80,000 registrations in workforce education type programs in our system last year. And in those parts of the state where there are no community colleges, we're stepping up and providing two-year programs, certificate programs, on-site worker education programs. We do interventions in companies to help their processes. So we're really stepping up our participation, and we've been working with the WIB boards and other entities around the state to make sure that if it's an educational program that needs delivered, we're there.
Before I let you go, I'm going to ask you a question. Maybe you probably anticipate everything I'm going to ask you, but I'll ask a little different. If Governor-elect Tom Corbett were sitting here, not Terry Madonna, at this point, what would you say to him? I know you're thinking a lot about this, because you know, go ahead.
I think what I would say first is, Governor, we offer the highest quality education for the most affordable cost. Second, we are the Commonwealth's university, so we have a stake and we can help you create the best future for the Commonwealth possible. And third, we want to make sure that we're a good partner with you to make sure that we're all headed in the same direction and you see us as a good team.
Well, look, I want to. You'll come back and update us as time goes on some of these initiatives. Specifically, we're doing a series of programs, dealing with the policy with the incoming governor. And you, is it $1 billion appropriation you get from the state?
About 400 plus million.
Oh, 400 plus million, and the rest of it is money that you generate, I guess.
Right, it's tuition fees. And
tuition fees.
Right.
All right, there you have it, the Chancellor of the state system. Guess what? Senator Jeff Piccola chairs the Senate Education Committee. Is he on the Board of Governors?
Yes, he is.
He's your boss in some respects?
He's one of my bosses, that's
We
true.
all have bosses
That's
in this
right.
case. Senator Piccola coming up next. Stay with us. We'll see you back in a moment.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by Pennsylvania Credit Union Association. Pennsylvania Credit Unions, where people are worth more than money. To find a credit union that is right for you, check out ibelong.org. And by the Energy Association of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's energy information source. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the State System of Higher Education. 14 state-owned universities. The state system is the largest provider of higher education in Pennsylvania. And by the Hospital and Health System Association of Pennsylvania, working towards a healthy Pennsylvania.
Hi, welcome back to the program. Well, Senator Jeff Piccola joins me. He's state senator, represents the 15th district, but importantly for this program, he chairs the Education Committee of the Senate. He's 2 years now you've been doing that, yes. Senator. Welcome to the program. You've been on many times. All right. I don't know if you caught that. I ended the segment with this Chancellor by saying you're sitting down with Governor-elect Corbett. What would you say? You're going to be doing this more frequently than I think, I won't say you'd like to admit, but you're going to be there and you're going to have to work on a lot of these and you and he actually see eye to eye on a number of things. So what do you think is going to happen here? Give us your bird's eye view of you, Corbett, the new term, the Senate agenda.
Well, I think everything has to be focused on keeping costs down because education is one of the biggest drivers of costs in state government. It's 40% of our budget, and so that's going to be a big driver. Also accountability. I think we've had a little bit of accountability with the Keystone exams and a few other things with the Rendell administration, but I think there'll be much more focus on elevating test scores, making sure that the adults that are running and being paid to run the education systems in our state are not the focus, that the kids are the focus, and that we're going to get these kids educated.
Yeah, one of the things that's come up frequently, the governor-elect talked about the mandates, and you hear them all the time, that you all in Harrisburg passed mandates down to local governments and to school districts. Do you think there should be a general review of those mandates? Oh,
absolutely. Mandates are one of the cost drivers, and
that's what I mean,
so we have to look at a whole variety of things from the prevailing wage, which is going to be very, very difficult because of the trade union influence, to things like laying teachers off for economic reasons. We're not allowed. School districts aren't allowed to do that right now. So there's a whole variety of mandate relief proposals that have to be looked at. No question about it.
Yeah, one of the things that the schools still continue to have to deal with are the heavy reliance on the property taxes. When you get a bill at home, and you get them too, right? Which is the bill that sort of go, and it's understandable. It's the biggest source of income. Do you think there's any? And over the years, you all have worked on that and worked on that. You got big majorities now in both of your chambers.
I don't think. I mean, I don't. In my view, the only way to do that right is to get rid of the school property tax completely, and that's a monumental task, and it would take the effort of a governor probably at the beginning of his term. This governor is faced with so many other challenges that I just don't think that can be put on the agenda. Obviously, we have to keep costs as low as possible, and we can. And if we're going to be driving down the state share, we have to make sure school districts don't pop back up and start raising those property taxes unnecessarily high. So that will be a challenge, but I just don't think property tax relief, school property tax relief, is going to be high on the agenda. I just don't know how you do it.
But you will admit it is. Over the course of many decades, now you've been around, you've been in the House in the mid-1970s. Is there been? I mean, it still remains the pervasive problem, doesn't it? I mean,
absolutely.
year after year, decade after decade.
We really have barely scratched the surface. I mean, we've have Act One, we have the gaming revenue, but the property taxes are still a major issue, and I think justifiably so, because there's no relationship between the value of property in a school district and the educational services that should be delivered.
And with the assessment system we have in some places, 30, 40 years, property's not, now property values falling.
I'd love to see us address it, but I'm trying to be a realist.
Okay.
A realist, and I
That's
just don't
why we have you here. We get realism. Okay.
I mean, we got so many other challenges that I think.
I want to turn to another subject I know that you've been involved in and part of. Where you put the dollars, and particularly the new dollars, matters. Now, everything we know, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, pre-K, most bang for buck. New study just out, by the way, of New Mexico program on money put into pre-K, 5-to-1 ratio return on investment. Pre-K, we've done some stuff here. A, how do you think we've done with pre-K so far? B, what do you think the future is, and would Senator Piccola put more resources into pre-K education?
Well, let me give it a grade since we're talking education.
Fine,
I'd give the way we handle pre-K in the state a B-. I think we do a fairly good job. We devote a lot of dollars to it, and I'm not suggesting that we necessarily cut those dollars, but I think we need to use them more effectively.
Okay.
I think there are many pre-K programs that have no follow-up. After the kids go through pre-K, you lose the benefit when you don't continue to nurture those kids through kindergarten and elementary school. Secondly, I think we need to focus it. We need to focus those dollars where the need really is. There are many parents who don't need the services of pre-K. It's simply a babysitting opportunity. Right. And so if those parents want to avail themselves of that, then we need to make sure that they are contributing something so that there's a means test to the program. All
right, we're going to break. I've been holding the tough ones for the senator: vouchers, charter schools, and pensions. Can I give you more of a headache to deal with, Senator Piccola? We'll be back in a moment.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by Highmark Blue Shield, changing the way health plans work for business with a variety of plan options for employers and more choices for employees. Information is available at highmark.com. Have a greater hand in your company's health. And by the Pennsylvania Healthcare Association, the future of long-term care.
Hi, welcome back to the program with Senator Piccola. Boy, I've saved the three big ones right now for him. All right, pensions. Y'all did something before you went home. You changed some of the current procedures for new employees. They have to work longer, retire a little later. We don't need to get into the details unless you want to. There'll be an employee contribution hike should the debt situation change. Are you done with it? Do you think Governor Corbett ought to retake up this business?
Well, he probably should. I voted against it because I think we just kicked the can down the road a little bit further and left it to another generation. Whether there's the will in the legislature to do it again so quickly, I doubt. But we should. I voted against it.
But do you agree with the comment I made to Chancellor Cavanaugh that once you do big things, you tend not to come back?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you tend not to come back, and that's why we probably won't come back to doing this in the at least certainly not in the first term of the Corbett administration. Okay,
let's go to let's take charter schools. And you're a big supporter of charter schools. Where do they go in the Corbett administration? First of all, where does Senator Piccola want to go with them? And then we'll talk to what you think that you and the governor
the roadmap as to where I would like to go, and I think the governor's pretty much on board with this, is to broaden the availability of charters coming from institutions of higher education. I mean, one of the things that we have learned is that institutions of higher ed, if you look at like the Wider University, a charter school in Chester City, provides amazing opportunities for kids, education opportunities for the kids, and allows the university to benefit greatly. So I would like to expand charters. we can provide education cheaper through charter schools. Believe it or not, I mean, people think there's an expense. There is. The school district has to pay, but what they pay is less than what they spend to educate the child that they lose. So we can do it cheaper. I would like to see a great expansion of charter schools, especially in those districts that are failing.
And they're not as controversial, I think, as they used to be. I mean, you have, over on the House side, you had, a former, now it won't be the appropriation chair, but was Dwight Evans, was a strong supporter of charter schools.
And Senator Dinniman in our chamber, my Democratic chairman, is a
former
very
colleague of mine, by the way. He was at Westchester, and I was at Millersville.
And he has done a yeoman's job in helping to improve. We have to make charter schools accountable. We have to strengthen the accountability.
So more has to be done with accountability.
But I think we need to use them more because they can educate kids better. They can educate kids more efficiently.
All right, let's talk. Far more controversial is this whole business of tuition vouchers. And we've had a debate. You're in public to public with them, public to private with them, you know what I mean? You get a sum of money. How limited, how expansive. I think Governor-elect Corbett has talked about them in one context. First of all, what's Senator Piccola's view of vouchers?
Well, we're going to make a major effort to unveil early in the new year a comprehensive voucher or a scholarship or opportunity grant program, however you want to characterize it, for kids across the Commonwealth, low-income kids who for whatever reason, whether it's because the school that they're attending is failing or because they just don't fit into a school that's otherwise a good school, to give them and their parents, and that's an important factor here because parental involvement in education is a key factor in determining the success academically of kids. So to give those kids and their parents the opportunity to choose a school that better meets their needs.
How do you answer we got about a minute left, how do you answer the criticism that means you weaken the public schools, you lessen in what's going to be a tight dollar situation, you give less money to the struggling public schools, and some of them are struggling? Well,
you are, first of all, they are getting untold increases in education dollars over the last 7-8 years, and even before they were getting major increases as we progress. So in many instances, those schools have not lived up to the use of those dollars, and so we have to try something else. It's not working the way it is now.
Final word, try something else. Thanks for watching Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, stay well.